You know where we almost are? Not in terms of the actual games, but in terms of people punching their ticket. Playoffs.
Almost there.
Talking about
Playoffs?
I can't believe we're already talking about playoffs, and we're actually not talking about your team punching a ticket to the playoffs, even though you have the best record in the league. When I saw that on the Waggle group chat that we're talking about playoff clinching scenarios, I assumed it was the Argos. It was not. It was the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, who are in a win and in scenario. They can clinch playoffs with a win over the Saskatchewan Roughriders on Sunday. Now, Calgary, we should mention, at 3-8, their active playoff streak, which is the longest, 17 seasons, is in jeopardy. Listen, Dave Dickinson never missed the playoffs. As a coach, as a player, as a head coach, as a coordinator, that is in jeopardy. And the reason why I love the Labor Day matchups is because that matchup against Edmonton will factor in the likelihood of whether it's making it in the West or potentially a crossover. And the way things are trending with Hamilton getting off the mat with a win, quite a skeptic. You could have an East team crossover to the West. So all things are in play. This is why I love this part of the CFL season, because the games mean so much more in terms of playoff implications.
That's right. And this is the time of the year where teams start to jockey for position like you talk about. And obviously, Winnipeg is most likely going to clinch over the next few weeks or so. But it's beginning to be more and more interesting as we hit Labor Day. We always talk about how this is the start almost of a new season. This is the start. This is the time to kind of wake up. You look at the Edmonton Elks, finally got their first win, and who knows what they're going to look like over the next 3, 4, 5 weeks. But this is a great time to start turning things around. We talked about the Hamilton Tiger Cats, who need to wake up and are continuing to kind of move into a new direction as well. Listen, this is an exciting time in the CFL right now.
It is. I love the fact that you have hostile environments in the games that you get on Labor Day. And for me, the CFL season is segmented in a couple different chapters. So you obviously got the preseason, guys trying to make the team, teams really forming who they're going to be, role definition, camp fights, physical, but also camp fights in terms of where you're going to be on the depth chart. Then the season kicks off. Games are for real, establishing who you are in the league. Then you get into that phase, which we're in now, where you start to see teams for the second time. You start to put things on tape. New big players emerge. Injuries and attrition test your depth. But this is the point that I love. I think it's a new chapter starts right at Labor Day. It's that stretch drive to the postseason, jockeying for position, but also, listen, of the 90-man rosters that were a thing in the NFL for preseason, today, we were taping this on a Tuesday, they got cut down to 53. Mm-hmm. The Grim Reaper comes and says, I need your playbook. So you have an abundance of players. Some will end up on practice rosters. Some will end up in different lines of employment. But you have abundance of players saying, all right,
take my talents up north.
That's right. I'm going to come and try to eat some food off of players' plate that's playing right now. So the teams, if you've had an issue in a couple areas, well, maybe you can address it. Teams will look to fortify what they've got, change what they've got, or, and front office people will never be guilty of doing this, or maybe a couple minutes after practice, they just bring in a couple guys just to work them out in front of everybody, just so you see what's on the street. If you're getting a little comfortable, for you, what is this chapter of the season like that kind of starts at Labor Day?
Listen, this is, you said it, the start of a new dawn, and it's the time of the year that is amazing, that is beautiful, because it doesn't matter. Throughout the course of the season this year, we're talking about the Toronto Argonauts having a perfect record for the first, part of the season. They lose one game, but they're still on their feet. You talk about the Winnipeg Blue Bombers and their dominance in the West, the Calgary Stampeders, the ups and the downs, and, the BC Lions. Are they going to overthrow the Winnipeg Blue Bombers? You talk about the top teams all the time, but for me, to be honest with you, DB, the most dangerous teams right now are the ones that are at the bottom. They have all the motivation in the world right now. And I've seen it far too often in my decade-plus career. Teams that are at the bottom right now find themselves not just in the playoffs, but in their conference finals, and find themselves even in the Grey Cup. If I'm not mistaken, the 2011 BC Lions started out, I think, 0-6 or 0-7, and then found themselves in the Grey Cup and went on to beat my Winnipeg Blue Bombers in the Grey Cup. And so I'll tell you what, the most dangerous teams are the ones at the bottom right now, and so we're gonna have to keep an eye on them. And it's their time right now. So I'll tell you what message in our locker room is: do not be complacent. And I'll tell you what, the guys out there in Winnipeg, you talked about FIFO. This is something that Stubler left behind. O'Shea brought it out there in Winnipeg. That's what they say as well over there. And they're a veteran group, and they know that just finishing first or clinching playoffs doesn't mean that you're guaranteeing yourself a Grey Cup championship for this season.